Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Canadian Director Candidates Forum. My name is Chris Nussman. I'm NENA's Communications Director, and I'll be handing things off to Rob McMullen, our moderator for the hour and one of our illustrious past presidents, in just a second here, but a few notes of housekeeping as we get started. We are recording this webinar, so if you miss any part of it, want to share it with other people in your region who'll be voting on this election, you'll be able to do so. We'll send you a link to the on-demand archive and a copy of the slide deck shortly after we conclude today. And of course, an informed voter is the best voter. So if you have any questions for our candidates, please use the Zoom Q&A interface to submit those, and we'll get to as many as we can towards the end of our time together. And with that, I'm going to hand things over to Rob.
All right, good afternoon and welcome everyone attending your Canadian Region Director for the Candidates Forum. Just a couple dates to remind everyone. On March the 15th, online voting will open. Again, March 15th, online voting will open for your candidates. On April the 14th, the online voting will close. April 14th, online voting closes, and your new board will be sworn in at the 2021 NENA Conference and Expo in Columbus, Ohio on July the 28th. So I'd like to take some time right now, and we're going to start with Stacy Can, and she is going to introduce herself and give us tell us a little bit about herself. Then I'm going to ask some questions, and then at the end, if there's any questions from the audience, we will we'll let that happen. So Stacy, go ahead and start out.
Excellent, thank you. So hello everybody. Thanks so much for coming out to watch the forum this afternoon. So as Rob mentioned, my name is Stacy Can, and to give you some background on me, I'm currently a unit manager for the Winnipeg Police Service Communications Center. I oversee about 100 or just over 100 staff members. I've worked my entire career in the PSAP, this PSAP specifically, since starting in 1999, and I'm very passionate about the 911 industry. I've worked as a call taker, dispatcher, coach, shift supervisor, procedure analyst, and in my current position as a unit manager, I've been in this role since the end of 2017. Professionally, my interests include wellness advocacy, mentoring, recruitment, leadership of frontline members, as well as 911 public education. I've been in a leadership position for many years and have been fortunate to be able to lead and support my team and celebrate their successes. Annually, I enjoy being volunteer judges in various capacities. So in the past, I've been judges for APCO's Public Safety Communications Awards program. This year, locally for Manitoba Customer Contact Association in the awards program for Manitoba Excellence in Customer Contact Achievement. I have persons that I mentor through, that I met through connecting over NENA's mentorship program, and I really enjoy being able to share my knowledge and experiences with them and help them in their professional journey. Since 2017, I've attended several NENA conferences as well as attended various NENA training and acquired my ANP. Attending the conferences and training is actually what got me excited about NENA overall, meeting different people, exchanging information about experiences, our differing centers, and making connections internationally I found really fascinating. So when the opportunity came about to run for the director position, I thought it was a great opportunity to give back to the industry more broadly and bring in some new ideas, different approaches, representing my Canadian peers. I'm currently in the process of attaining my management certificate through a local university. Outside of professional interests, I have 2 children, 2 dogs. I coach youth soccer, and I sit on a board of directors as a secretary for a local child care facility. If elected as the regional director, I'm committed to working hard and being a strong advocate for the PSAP industry, frontline members specifically, leaders, and industry partners. Thank you.
And thank you, Stacy. Holly?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Holly Barkwell. I'm a public safety advocate. I've been involved in the industry for a lot of years. Actually, I've been just past my 26th year with technical and operational experience in 911 emergency communications and dispatch operations. During that time, I've worked in pretty much every province across Ontario, across North America, every province across Canada, in many states in the US and abroad. I've worked in numerous dispatch centers, so I'm familiar with the people, policies, procedures, in particular, the challenges and the benefits that technology can bring to the 911 space. Over the years, I've published a few articles in industry magazines and presentations to international audiences, but experience ranges over numerous disciplines, including standards and best practices, change management, policy, governance, technology, and procurement. So I've worked closely with local, provincial, federal, and other types of governments around the world, gaining experience in public safety, and specifically 911 emergency communications. I'm also a participant in the Canadian Emergency Services Working Group and the Canadian NG 911 Coalition. So I'm currently active within both groups. I have 4 TIFs as co-chair or working group participant ongoing right now. And I've been an active member getting ready for the transition to next generation 911 through numerous avenues across the country for the last decade or so. I was also a contributor to the Canadian NG 911 Coalition's roadmap for NG 911 for Canadian PSAPs. When I first took on this role in 2017, I was thrilled to get on board with the board of directors because I wanted to do 2 things for the Canadian space. I wanted to improve training opportunities for Canadians. I wanted to be able to promote the emergency number professional program and all of the other great training programs that NENA has, but in particular to act as an advocate for the things that NENA specializes in so well, which is standards and best practices, advocacy, and training programs across the board. During that time, I've been pushing for that, and that was my campaign the first time I was elected to the board and throughout, and that focus hasn't changed. I plan to continue that if I'm elected. I want to bring the word to the people. I'm very passionate about 911 and all that it can do to help citizens of this great country. And I'm invested, of course, because I'm not doing this, just for doing this. I'm doing this because I want the system to work for my children and my grandchildren in particular. And if we don't move the existing platform forward and do it in a way that benefits everyone, it's never going to work well. So that's why I'm here today, to run and hopefully continue the work that we've started. But Stacy is a fantastic resource as well, and I'm very proud to have her as a running mate. So good luck, Stacy, and thank you very much for the opportunity to say hi.
All right, thank you, ladies. We're going to get into the question and answer portion of the webinar. So first question is going to go to Holly. Holly, what motivated you to run for office?
That's a great question, Rob, and thanks. I've always wanted to give back. As I mentioned, I've worked in this industry for a lot of years. I've seen a lot, I've done a lot, and I've met some absolutely fantastic people. The passion that goes with this industry is second to none. And I wanted to be part of that and give something back. So I wanted to join NENA. I felt was the cream of the crop as far as organizations go, or associations, with the knowledge and the expertise and the focus that they bring to all the things that they do. So primarily, again, it's a standards training and advocacy association, and it in fact produced the standards on which Next Generation and 911 in Canada is being based on, and across other countries. So it's a globally recognized brand. It's also an ANSI accredited organization, which means things are done by consensus based on input from industry professionals everywhere. That's a huge deal. That means, regardless of where you are, who you are, your input matters and you can help make things better. I love being a part of that. I want to continue being a part of that while representing Canada's interests and perspectives. And Canada has so much to offer public safety because of the approach we're taking with NG 911. When we reach the transition date in 2024, we will be the first country in the world to achieve this kind of milestone. That's not a small endeavor. And I would be proud to be even just a tiny little part of that. And I felt I had something to offer to create a stronger presence for NENA in Canada. NENA's done a ton of work in the US to engage industry with how public safety is produced and being part of a supportive manner rather than controversial. And Canada has benefited from the trickle-down effect, but we need to continue to foster the community spirit here in Canada, because we just don't do things the same way the rest of the world does it. So ISIWIG has a great group of approximately 400 plus professionals across the country that are engaged and have specific expertise. And I want to contribute and be able to bring some of the NENA perspective to that to help out the process as it's ongoing.
Great.
Thank you.
Stacy, same question. What motivated you to run for office?
Overall, I'd say like my passion for the industry. Similar to Holly, my career has been 911, all things related. I've been afforded opportunities to grow professionally as a leader within the PSAP, and I feel like I've developed a strong voice and would like to use that voice to advocate for my peers. I've been aware and involved with NENA for several years, and I appreciate their advocacy for their partners, the involvement in legislation, providing training, minimum standards and guidelines. It honestly inspires me to be a part of that association, and I really want to give back to the industry beyond just my local agency. And over the last little while, I've been trying to get more involved in public education. But again, it's kind of limiting because that is more within my city. And granted, I have a fairly large city, but I really I'm eager to learn more about the industry on a larger scale and get more involved that way. So, but yeah, overall, I agree with Holly, the one sentiment that she said about the cream of the crop specifically. I do agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that NENA is the cream of the crop. And, it's something that anybody would be, I feel like eager to be involved in. And professionally, I think it's the next step for a lot of people because it is such a well ran association. So, yeah.
Okay. Stacy, this question will start with you. Is how would you inspire or encourage the growth of the association?
First, I would be a strong advocate for professional relationships developed and the connections and resources that NENA provides. I think that often people don't delve deep enough, perhaps, into what NENA can offer, and they look at it more surface. So, more discussion on the training, the conferences, the groups that are involved, the mentorship program, and really the mentorship is something huge that is essential to anybody who's looking for professional growth. Just the access that's available for members in the associations to that network of individuals that can encourage, support, professional growth and insight is astounding. So that's one thing that I would definitely really highlight for people. I think I would encourage chapters across Canada. That's one thing that I feel that, we're not as, I feel like in the US, the chapters are very solidified and I feel like we need to do a little bit better in Canada. So I would look at more collaboration between provinces. One thing also is that we don't have a lot of NENA training, the CMCP program or the center supervisor training going on in Canada. My agency had submitted for funding and was able to successfully get the center training. We had Lisa Fulton actually come and deliver the training for us, and we were able to get our the PSAPs, members from PSAPs across Manitoba to come for that training, which was awesome. So I would love to continue to coordinate those kinds of things so that we have more opportunities for people in Canada. The other thing, obviously, for encouragement would be promoting the Enp certification, just by explaining better how that it does exemplify your kind of dedication to the PSAP industry. So, you know, I would probably do, you know, more email blasts and things like that that can just get the word out to people to kind of explain some of the opportunities that are available through the association.
Okay. And Holly, how would you inspire or encourage the growth of the association?
Thanks, Rob. Well, Stacy brought up some excellent points and things. I agree. Those are all good points that need addressing. As I mentioned earlier, when I ran for this position originally, I had two goals. One was to increase training for industry members across Canada, and the other was to increase outreach, so more people knew who NENA was and what we offer to the public safety industry. So I would continue that, but I would really like to be able to bring some national or regional events or workshops to different areas of the country, which we haven't been able to do well yet. I'm really pleased to announce that BC and Western Canada have finally organized a new chapter, so that's a fantastic achievement in Canada. But we still have a lot of work to do on the chapter front. I'd like to continue to engage industry in Canada and solicit assistance to hold some educational events outside of the NENA Ontario territory, because currently they are the only chapter that has enough resources to be able to host some of these events and garner volunteers. So we need to work on that. Our members have needs, and we need to better understand and address those needs. So there are things that we can do there, absolutely. When I came into office, one of my goals was to increase outreach. And what that meant was reaching out to the vendor community and public safety community and associations, anybody that had anything to do with public safety. I started that, and I would continue that in earnest. Many members engage in ESWIG, but we need to recognize those contributions from, pardon me, from vendors, from consulting, and from other avenues, product development, and manufacturers. And I would also like other people to know, increase the awareness within the industry of who NENA is, what we offer, so that we can have better partnerships across the industry. And we want industry to engage in a positive manner with PSAPs by providing guiding principles. For example, for application developers and other tools, we can ease the stress for PSAPs in introducing new technologies into those environments with proper training programs, standards development, and Next Generation will facilitate that in a big way, but we still need the industry to understand what public safety is, what our role is, and how they can help us achieve a better response. I would also continue to advocate for better educational opportunities. And that's been a fight that I waged when I started, and I will continue with. I'm really excited to be able to announce that NENA has, over the past year, in some part due to COVID, but it's been a progression path, is to be building a better online set of tools for training for public safety practitioners, in strictly web format or web offered, instructor-led online, and continuing in-person courses. So that's going to help a little bit with all of the travel restrictions that we're facing across Canada. But of course, we still have more work to do. We can't rest yet. So we need to continue to encourage NENA to develop content that's accessible to geographically diverse members, for one, at a cost competitive or a cost attractive price point, including the means that we now are developing some experience in being able to deliver. And I want to encourage Canadian NENA members to apply for NENA instructor positions. Our educational advisory board is always recruiting new members, but we forget to talk about that in Canada. So we need to garner some more interest in that. And as Stacy mentioned, the ENP program is growing. We have more and more people every year. And I apologize, but I forgot to look up the number that we have, but we actually had 4 new EMPs just in the first quarter of this year. So congratulations to them. And we need to encourage more of that. My goal would to be have 90% of the public safety practitioners with an EMP certificate so that we can really elevate the industry, and soliciting input from those people on what content is relevant and what we need to do to keep people engaged and to keep our skills top notch.
Thank you, Holly. And this question is for you, Holly, is what are the important issues affecting the Canadian region? And as a region director, what would you like NENA to do to address them? Sorry.
No problem. Well, first and foremost is affordable and accessible training. Again, on my first term, one of my campaign platform issues was to increase the availability of affordable training in Canada. I'm still working hard on that and will continue. We're getting closer with the new packages of training programs that we have with the in-person instructor-led online and the strictly online courses, but we can't stop. There are always new content that we could be providing training on, and we will continue pushing for that or continue advocating to move forward with that. We want every PSAP personnel across the country trained, and we have the basic and the advanced telecommunicator courses, and we're trying to advocate and increase awareness of those courses. But as Stacy mentioned, we also have the CMCP and the center supervisor courses, which I'm working, actually have been working on trying to get a couple of more of those courses brought into Canada and delivered here so that we can open it up. We'll continue advocating for that as well. Another thing I'd like to address, actually Stacy already mentioned this as well, is we still have provinces without chapters across the country. We have a lot of members at large, we'll call them, that are members, but they don't have support from an individual chapter. So I'd like to find better ways to engage them and support them with outreach and information of value so that we can give them all the same benefits so that they can feel appreciated and included within the Canadian NENA family. And again, I would continue outreach to vendor associations. My goal was and has been to increase awareness of NENA among industry participants so we can provide information and guidance on standards, training, and advocacy on Canadian issues. And I've actually developed partnerships with a couple of entities over the past year and a half to help build awareness, one of which is with Esri Canada. We've partnered up to provide webinars across the country to inform industry participants in what the GIS requirements are for next generation 911. And to date, we've educated over 1,000 individuals on the NENA standards, what's required for agencies going forward in the NG 911 environment. Pardon me. And the second one is with a company called VirusKit Tactical Systems. We've started doing some webinars on cybersecurity issues with which PSAPs need to pay particular attention to going forward in the new environment. So those are the things I'd like to do and some of the ways I'd like to do it.
Okay, thank you. Stacy, same question. What are the important issues affecting the Canadian region? And as region director, what would you like NENA to do to address them?
Canada is attempting to coordinate public education across the country, as we're rolling out NG. So, to assist with this, I would say that NENA could, lobby the government to support the recommendations that come out of the Emergency Services Working Group. As well, I think that there's, or I know that there's still remote communities in Canada that are without 911 service, which, in this day and age is almost, crazy to think that there are places that do not have 911 services in well-developed countries. So to assist with this, again, I think that it's an advocacy piece advocating to the Canadian government to support those areas that are without this essential service. So while the areas may not be heavily populated, and that's really what it boils down to, is they don't have the money and the resources that way to get the services. The reality is that every resident and visitor deserves that access without having to know and use local 10-digit dials. You know, like I can't imagine, like, you know, anybody traveling across North America, I think we take for granted to think that that service is available everywhere, and the reality is that it's not necessarily the case. Wellness advocacy or holistic care is critical, and I think that PSAPs across the country, you know, or nationwide, like, or across North America, are experiencing different societal issues, which may include things like systemic racism or defunding the police sentiments. Added to those pressures are what we're all experiencing right now with the pandemic. These are all taking a toll on mental health, and it's important that we all, including NENA, support our frontline PSAP members. I do appreciate NENA's efforts in the recognition, the importance of resiliency training, advocacy for that, for wellness programs, and it's important to continually update the traumatic and chronic stress management guidelines, and to promote that more industry-wide. Overall, I think that people who are in a position that can change things will not do so if they don't hear from strong advocacy groups and community leaders. And this is what I think NENA can do for any of the issues across Canada, is just be that voice and be that advocacy group.
Okay. And Stacy, this question is starting with you, is how would you improve NENA's value to its members?
You know, I know we've kind of touched on this already, or I have, but promoting more of what NENA offers. I think, you know, in email blasts from the director email, like things like reminders about webinars and committees such as the Women in 911 Alliance, the mentorship program, upcoming social events, tips for PSAPs, just like, you know, how to apply or prepare for your ENP exam, nominations for awards, recruitment, you know, and I think very specifically we could talk more about the Canadian offerings, I suppose, right? Just to get people kind of excited. And I know we've mentioned this as well, as promoting the emergency number professional certification. Again, just by more advocacy on how the certification can increase industry knowledge, demonstrate your leadership, your commitment to the industry. And if you are looking at perhaps, you know, going outside of your current PSAP, that is a huge piece that professionally shows you're invested. With that, I would also probably look at what unique pieces maybe that can consider for the ENP recertification that might be unique to Canada. Things like the Emergency Services Working Group, sitting on tips, that kind of thing that might be a little bit different, that maybe we can incorporate more on the like recertification process. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And Holly, same question. How would you improve NENA's value to its members?
Well, Stacy, thank you for stealing some of my thunder. That's okay. I agree. We need to focus more on Canadian issues. We've been fighting some of those battles within the 911 NG 911 coalition and within ESWIG. A big gap that we have across the country right now is governance, legislative and regulatory support. And we've been working on that, well, for more than a decade now, trying to get some comprehensive federal oversight implemented for NG, because as we know, costs, training and all manner of things require support from that level of government. So far, we haven't been as successful as we could be. And going forward, I have gotten a pledge from NENA that, you know, they will be prepared to provide some better support to us in order to start tackling some of those issues head on. We've taken a stab at it in the past, but we need some more concerted effort in that area for sure, because it's going to be built without that support in place. But going forward, having some kind of federal and at minimum provincial support in order to manage some of those affairs will be a huge bonus for 911. And we can use NENA's resources to help push those agendas. Again, continuing outreach, greater awareness among the vendor community, related industry associations and manufacturers, encouraging those entities to get involved in NENA to participate because they do have a tremendous amount of value to add. And we need to figure out how to draw them in and get them involved. We have all kinds of associations that have been sort of secondary to the 911 process. Stacy mentioned, mental health is a big one. There are a number of entities out there that we have been speaking with in sidebar conversations about how to get them involved in the 911 and response process and what kind of value that can add in the next generation 911 environment. So we need to increase that amount of outreach. The Canadian Suicide Hotline, the Canadian Medical Alert Association, those types of agencies all have tremendous value because they work in this space with entities on a one-of basis. So we need to figure out how to integrate them going forward. So it would be great to have some of those types of agencies get involved in a big way so that we can increase knowledge and awareness among our PSAPs and among industry personnel. And of course, more visibility nationally. We need to really actively push some of the training programs that we have now, in particular ENPs. We need to continue growing that cadre of certified individuals. And the ENP certification indicates that you are responsible, you have met a certain level of expertise and criteria within your role. And more agencies are putting that requirement into job descriptions, which is fantastic. And we need to continue that going forward. And we also, there are a few other things within the NG environment with some support for agencies so that they know that the vendors that are working in this space are active and actually can talk the talk as well.
Okay, thank you, Holly. And now we're going to start right with you on another question. What would you see as the #1 issue facing public safety right now, and what can NENA do to address or better address it?
Oh, is that for me? Okay.
Yes, sorry.
No problem. Okay, so in Canada currently, we have a number of issues, but next generation 911 is the issue on the table today. Everybody's working hard, but there's so much uncertainty and fear over that issue right now. So we need some support from NENA to help that. And they are focusing on that in the US with getting the standards. The I3 Rev 3 version is almost complete. We're in hopefully the last phase of public review. So we hope to see that early this year. So the standards are coming along. They're just not coming fast enough. The board of directors and the Development Steering Council have made some tremendous strides in the last couple of years, cutting through some red tape and administrative issues so that we can get these types of documents passed through the approval process faster, but certainly more needs to be done in that regard. Standards work has to evolve and follow faster, streamlined processes similar to software development or risk being obsolete before they're even finished. I just mentioned the good news about NENA I3 Rev 3, which is the foundation of next generation 911, not just in North America, but around the world. So other countries are taking notice and they are participating and they're implementing these important standards. EIDO is another one, the Emergency Incident Data Object. This standard is almost finished and that will be a huge achievement, and it's a critical piece of the puzzle for Canadian PSAP call handling. So NENA can help and is helping by moving these standards forward. They run the working groups, of which there are numerous Canadian participants, and I'm extremely proud of the number of people that participate. So these are the standards that we're developing, as I mentioned, are not just North America or the US and Canada, but Europe is adopting them as well, and other countries, Mexico is also beginning to adopt them. So they're becoming more and more well-known around the world, and we need to just keep with that focus and keep moving forward.
Thank you, Holly. And same question to you, Stacy. How do you see what do you see as the number one issue facing public safety right now? And what can NENA do to address or better address it?
I completely agree with Holly that definitely NG is a huge concern from a technical aspect as well as frontline training and public education. So I'm going to answer this in kind of a two-part way. In Canada, I think there's concerns because we don't have firm NG timelines. I know right now they're being adjusted because of the pandemic and we're waiting for decisions on those dates. So it's difficult for planning process. I know for my own PSAP as well as I'm sure across Canada. Location accuracy, lack of information on calls, that continues to plague us on a daily basis. We don't have companies such as like a Rapid SOS providing emergency response data platform. And that's unfortunate because I think that would be a huge benefit to Canada. That said, going back to something I said earlier, I still think that, like, my opinion is that the number one issue facing public safety right now, though, is the corrosion kind of trust in public safety. And I think that this is nationwide. I think we're all experiencing the issues. It's a critical time for NENA to advocate for those frontline workers, the support for the mental health and physical well-being right now, with the societal issues combined with the traumatic experiences of the pandemic, the violence that I think a lot of PSAPs are experiencing. It's dangerous, and I feel like we really have to give that support to our frontline workers. And this is, I know we all have heard this, sentiment, but 911 frontline staff should be considered those first responders in every sense of the meaning. A firefighter, a paramedic, or a police officer couldn't function without a dispatcher, and a call wouldn't go answered if it wasn't for the help that's sent by these critical members answering those 911 calls. So for me, the number one issue facing public safety is making sure that our frontline have everything they need, all the tools under their belts, the training, the wellness, the advocacy, the resiliency training that we have to provide for them or help them get. And I think that as far as NENA goes, again, the just providing that training, which I know that NENA does have a lot of supports in place and guidelines that PSAPs can have or can access rather. But yeah, just more frontline support. That would be my number one issue for public safety.
Okay, thank you. Last question, and it's still on you, Stacy. What would you identify as 3 of your strengths or core values that you would bring to the NENA board and ultimately to the membership?
I think my strongest attributes are leadership and advocacy rather, like a dedication, commitment, like an eagerness to embrace challenges. I'm willing to challenge my own beliefs so I can see things from different perspectives, and be my own devil's advocate. I really want to carve my own path, and I'm not fearful of the unknown. I embrace challenges at the end of the day, and I believe my experience within a busy large PSAP has helped me develop strong leadership and advocacy skills. And I think that would help me be the voice of the Canadian region and do the job extraordinarily well. I truly hold NENA in high regard, and I honestly just look forward to opportunities to get more involved in NENA and learn and grow professionally, and also, like I said, be that voice for the Canadian region.
Okay, Holly, your turn. Same question. What would you identify as your 3 strengths or core values, and what would you bring to the NENA board and ultimately to the membership?
Thanks, Rob. I just want to back up quickly for 1 second and just stress, Stacy has been mentioning the telecommunicator component, and she's absolutely right. Fully 50% of the NENA membership at this point in time is made up of telecommunicator personnel, and they are such an important core group of the public safety industry, and we need to bring some better resources to them. So in that regard, the 3 strengths, I guess, that I can add to help bring that about is integrity. dependability and responsibility. I'm in this role today to advance primarily the awareness of standards, best practices, training, and knowledge transfer regarding 911 and the benefits of NG 911. But clearly we have more to do. There are people that we're not reaching. There are people we're not reaching well enough, and there are better tools and resources that we can bring to those people. With those traits in mind, I will continue, or I will continue to drive those points home, and focusing on people is one of the things that NENA is starting to look forward at, shifting slightly from the technology side to being more inclusive of the people that make the industry function and function so well. So integrity is required to make sure that things keep going forward on a positive foot, and working for what is in the best interest of NENA members, period. That focus will not change. Dependability, I do my very best to do what I promise when I promise. Sometimes I make mistakes, sometimes I need to back up and start again, but I do it with integrity in mind and doing the right thing. So I pledge to help everyone to the best of my ability. That's the way I've always worked. That's the way I will continue to work. If somebody brings me an issue or a question, I will do my very best to resolve it. If I can't resolve it myself, then I will find out who the right person is to address it and get it done. And responsibility. I don't pass the buck when something happens. The buck stops with me. I step up and do the hard work when it's required to the best, and I leverage partnerships, relationships, and if necessary, guilt people into doing things where it's required. But those are the things. I like to dig in and get the work done. I like to be part of the team. I like to encourage people to step up and do something to help make the whole organization better, and leverage the resources that we do have at our availability, to take advantage of the resources that we do have available to us and leverage them to the benefit of everyone.
Okay. Thank you, ladies, Holly and Stacy. That concludes our question and answer period for this afternoon's Canadian Region Director candidate webinar. I'd like to remind you guys of some dates. March the 15th, online voting opens. April the 14th, online voting will close. And on July 28th, 2021, the new board will be sworn in at the NENA NENA Conference and Expo in wonderful Ohio, in the great city of Columbus. Please look forward to joining everybody at that conference and see our new board members sworn in. And at that time, I'm going to turn it back over to Communications Director Chris Nussman. After he comes off of mute.
Hello, Chris. Oops.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I appreciate you joining our, to all of our attendees that joined this webinar this afternoon. Oh, there he is.
Yep, sorry, I was still muted. Yes, I was just saying thank you to the candidates. Thank you all for joining us here. We'll be sending out the on-demand link for anyone who wants to share the webinar here with other voters. We appreciate you joining us, and we hope to see you for the second VP Candidates Forum in about 15 minutes here on the other link. So thank you all for participating in the board election process. Again, best of luck to our candidates. Rob, thank you for moderating, and we will talk to you all soon.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.